From the Sunshine State, this is Tampa Bay's Tan Talk.
It's time for FLALAW, brought to you by the personal injury attorneys of Perenich, Caulfield, Avril Noyes. This hour will be informative, along with taking your questions and comments. Now, here are your hosts for today's show.
Good evening. It is Tuesday at 5 o'clock, and that means you are here listening to FLALAW on the radio. This is a live legal call-in talk show brought to you by the law firm of Perenich, Caulfield, Avril Noyes, the oldest personal injury law firm here in Tampa Bay. My name is Matthew Noyes. I'm one of the partners at that law firm, and we proudly present FLALAW on the radio to you as an opportunity to be available to answer any questions you have regarding the law. But today is not just Tuesday, but it's a very special Tuesday, and it's Veterans Day. And so a very loud and proud shout out to all the veterans, that we honor both the men and the women who have served and are presently serving our country. But I also want to extend also a big shout out, not just to the men and women serving, but also their families, because not only do the men and women who serve our country sacrifice for our freedom, so do their families. So a big shout out and a big thank you to all the veterans and their families. What I am going to do for Veterans Day is going to have a little trivia. And so after my introductions and how to call us and such like that. But if you are a regular listener and you want to participate in the trivia, please do not hesitate to give us a call at 441-3000. And you can call us there to participate in the trivia, or you can call us to ask legal questions as well on that same number at 727-441-3000. And we also are looking for someone on our Facebook Live page to also participate in the trivia questions as well, to see who can answer the most questions regarding Veterans Day. And to get to us on Facebook Live, you just have to go to the firm's website, Facebook page at Perenich, Caulfield, Avril Noyes Injury Lawyers. Perenich is spelled P-E-R-E-N-I-C-H. You'll see there's a little circle around our logo. That means we are live. So just type in your name under the comments and let us know that you want to participate in the Veterans Day trivia, and we will get that started in just a few minutes. And Ed has volunteered also, our producer of the show, to also participate in the answers. I did not share the questions or the answers with Ed before the show, so let's see if we can get both a caller, a Facebook person, and Ed on the trivia to see how much we know about Veterans Day. And this wasn't one of the trivia questions, but I was corrected, and so I had to research it. And that is, how do you pronounce Veterans Day? Is it Veterans Day or Veterans Day? 2 syllables or 3 syllables? And so I had to check to see if I was correct. And apparently the answer is, well, Ed, do you know what the answer is?
I was going to say, I always thought it depends on what part of the country you're from.
That's what I thought.
What
too.
accent comes in, like is it Caribbean or Caribbean?
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. Actually, the research said that it could be either way. It's veterans if it's just 2 syllables. But if you want to be more formal or ceremonial, you call it veterans. But you don't call it veterans. It's usually veterans. So when it's plural, it's usually 2 syllables.
I'd say Veterans Day.
I see Veterans Day too, and that's why I was being corrected. Well, let me just give a few more minutes to see if there's any of our faithful listeners who want to jump in on the Veterans Day trivia. Let us know how you pronounce it as well. And call us at 441-3000 to be a guest and to be part of the trivia. Or you can jump on our Facebook Live page at Perenich, Caulfield, Avril Noyes Injury Lawyers. And you can answer the questions right there on Facebook, and I'll grade your answers live when we're doing the trivia. So just a few more minutes before Ed and I get started on that. And if you don't want to call and you don't want to jump on Facebook, please continue to listen. See how many answers you know. Shout out the answers or write them down and let us know if you are a Veteran Day pro or you need to study a little bit more on Veterans Day. But again, my name is Matthew Noyes. I am one of the law firms one of the attorneys at the law firm of Perenich, Caulfield, Avril Noyes. We are the oldest personal injury law firm here. Guy Perenich started our firm a long time ago in 1955, and we have been going strong ever since. Those who are natives or mostly natives here may know that we used to have an FLALAW TV show when they used to have live television call-in shows. And so and that was on, for many years. We had 2 in Pinellas County and 2 up in Pasco County. And I can tell you I'm dating it because it was on Channel 9 before Bay News 9 was even around. So that's how long we've been doing FLALAW on the television. And so we just thought it'd be right to shift on over to share our wisdom and provide our time to answer your questions regarding personal injury, workers' compensation, Social Security, disability, and any other personal injury questions that you may have. We have trip and falls, slip and falls, medical malpractice, and such. Before the show, we were kind of talking about what happened in Ybor City, the crash and the police chase that got called off. But sadly and unfortunately, it led to several injuries and deaths as well. The question was, who's at fault? Well, obviously the criminals at fault, but is there also claims against the police department or claims against the businesses that had people just hanging out on the sidewalks and in the roadways? Is there claims against the city for closing off roads that otherwise would have been opened, but for special events? The answer is you really don't know. The facts aren't there. What is obvious, the guy who caused the crash certainly is at fault both criminally and civilly for all the damage that he caused. But unfortunately, more likely than not, he doesn't have any assets that any family member could attach to compensate them for their medical bills, and he lost wages and certainly pain and suffering. So that avenue, although there is an avenue there, it's unlikely to be collectible on. There could be a claim against the sheriff's department, the law enforcement who was chasing him before the crash. My understanding, I didn't do a lot of research on it, but my understanding is that they called off the crash. Called off the chase before the crash. And so what would be important to investigate is not was there a chase, but what was the policies and procedures regarding the police chase? And did the officers follow that policy and procedures? Police officers and law enforcement are allowed to pursue criminals as long as they follow the policy and procedure. So it'd be important to check what that policy and procedure is and to investigate whether or not those troopers or law enforcement follow the procedure correctly. And then lastly, just maybe the business owners could be responsible for damages. Unlikely, because they trusted or entrusted that the city and the surroundings was a foreseeable safe zone. It was unforeseeable that somebody would do what that criminal did. And so arguably, they would say that it was unforeseeable that a crash like that would happen and those injuries would happen. And I guess the last possible defendant would be the city for closing off roads. I mean, there's too many times my son watches a YouTube channel that people are following their GPS or whatever, and they turn into a lake or they turn into something else because that's what GPS told them to do. And Ed and I were talking about this earlier before the show is, this person wasn't relying on GPS, but what if an elderly person was and didn't appreciate that the roads were closed or blocked off? Did the city do enough to prevent a tragedy from happening? We saw that in New Orleans several months back, that arguably the city did not do enough to protect those people that were on the road and to prevent cars from entering what the people thought was a safe zone. So there are a lot of things that can be looked at. It needs to be investigated. You can't jump to a conclusion that quickly as to who's responsible. The attorneys would be necessary to do a very proper investigation and research, and anybody who can say this person or that person is automatically responsible simply is incorrect, because the facts aren't known to the general public enough. And that's a high profile case, but that's also in automobile accident cases too. We could think that a standard automobile accident, you think you can prove, or that you automatically know who's at fault for the crash, just because of the way it happened, but not always necessarily true. And so that's why it's so important that that an investigation occurs, and an investigation occurs as soon as possible, because the witnesses have it fresh in their mind. There may still be debris in the road. Cars aren't being fixed just yet, and more evidence needs to be collected as well before it's modified. So I think it's very important that we don't jump to conclusions about who's at fault, but rather do the investigation, and I call it building a puzzle piece. You're building a puzzle. You're getting all the puzzle pieces together so you can show everybody what the full puzzle looks like. If you just use just one puzzle piece here, one puzzle piece there, and not put it together, you can have way different versions of what the end puzzle would look like. So just my 2 cents worth from helping people for, about 35 years after automobile accidents. You get an understanding that not everything is cut and dry, and that investigation is so important. So if you're just tuning in, you are listening to FLA Law on the radio. This is a live legal call-in talk show. So give us a call at 727-441-3000. I was going to have a special guest, Jake Blanchard, on as a guest to talk about bankruptcy. Unfortunately, Jake got sick, and so he was unable to come, but he will be back in the next few weeks to talk about bankruptcy and answer questions regarding both personal bankruptcy and business bankruptcy. Jake is also a veteran from the U.S. Navy, where he served as a welder and a firefighter. So I was going to ask him all the questions about Veterans Day trivia, but it looks like it's you and me, Ed. We're going to go over these questions. Listeners,
see, now you just said a few minutes ago you would say veterans. 3 times you just said veterans.
Well, you'll see throughout the next hour. I'll
one
say
side or the other, Matt. One side or the other. Come on.
I'm an attorney. I got to do it. And you spell my name Noyes, Noyes, and so I always have to be on both sides. So let's do this. And listeners, if you are writing down your questions, or if you disagree, give us a shout out and let us know. And type in to our Facebook Live page how many you got right. So let's get started. The first question, kind of an easy question. What was Veterans Day originally called when it was first celebrated in 1919? Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah. Armistice Day.
Armistice Day.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope our listeners knew. Some of our listeners knew that. I only knew that because.
So when did it change? Did it say when it changed?
I will tell you that in question number 3.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Veterans Day or Veterans Day marks the anniversary of the end of what major war? It was 1919.
Oh, World War One, right?
World War One, correct. Listeners, I hope you got that. It's World War One was marking the anniversary of Veterans Day is marking the end of World War One. Question number 3. Which U.S. president officially changed the name from Armistice Day to Veterans Day? I heard that music on the last show. You know?
Yeah, I can pull that out.
You got to think. You got to be thinking.
That's going to add pressure, though.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, do we get a year?
I'll give you the year. 1954 was when it was changed to Veterans Day.
Let's see. 54. Oh, I can't think of his name now. Says before Kennedy. I don't know.
Eisenhower.
That's
D. Eisenhower.
I was thinking a long name. I'm like,
yeah. I'm sure some of our listeners knew that answer. I must admit, I cheated a little bit.
Get half a point. And I know his first name is Dwight.
That's right.
All
That's right. I kind of knew it, not because he did it, but because it was 1954. You know, so we were able to do that.
I wonder why he changed it. You know, because there's always, you know, people don't know why. You know, it's been this way for 40 years, and now you're going to change it. So
yeah, maybe change, and I don't know. I should research that, but maybe change it so it's not just honoring those that were in World War One, but any other wars.
It should be of all wars anyway.
Yeah. So maybe that's a question for next week.
Then you had another war after that, so maybe that's why. Because you had World War II after that,
right?
And the Korean War. Well, they didn't want to call it a war, but you know.
Yeah, and we had a lot of veterans serving during that time too. So we wanted to make sure
Vietnam. So so that makes sense. After World War II to change that, I guess. Yeah.
So if any of the listeners know that answer, why did they change the name from Armistice Day to Veterans Day? Just give us a call at 441-3000, and we'll put you right up on the air so you can educate us all. Question number 4, though. I think this is a pretty easy one. What's the difference between Veterans Day and Memorial Day?
We're honoring the veterans. Memorial Day is for the people who have passed. Veterans is more of the people that are here.
Correct.
Still, we still honor the ones that have passed too, but Memorial Day is basically towards the ones that have passed.
You're right. Yeah, Memorial Day honors those that died in service, while Veterans Day honors both the living and those who died in service. So all right. Question number 5. What country first proposed the idea of a moment of silence on November 11th to honor those who served?
What country?
It wasn't the United States.
No, I was going to say.
That'd be too easy.
Was it England? Maybe, I don't know.
You're right.
Really?
The United Kingdom.
Okay,
but
UK.
Yeah, the UK was the first country. Was the country who first proposed a moment of silence on November 11th to honor the veterans.
And I wonder if that started everything, because we moment of silence. People, remember somebody, not only just veterans, but when somebody passes or whatever, that we have a moment of silence. Whether that kind of stuck.
Yeah, just carried on through that. I would think, maybe. I didn't know this one, and I really liked the answer to this question, and I like the question as well. Why is November 11th selected for Veterans Day? Yesterday was the Marine's birthday, but so it's always the day after the Marine's birthday. But that's not why November 11th is selected for Veterans Day. This would be, I think Jake Blanchard would have been stumped on this one too.
I don't know.
It was very interesting because I'm kind of a numbers nerd anyhow. World War I officially ended at the 11th hour on the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918. So that's 11/11. And so that's why.
Well, that makes sense.
That's why our office was closed on a Tuesday. And other offices are closed on a Tuesday. But that's why we do it on November 11th.
Mail and banks were closed today too.
Yeah. 11th hour on the 11th day of the 11th month is when World War I officially ended. Number 7. In which U.S. city is the tomb of the unknown soldier located? People would say Washington, D.C., but that's not correct.
I was thinking that.
Not really.
I don't know.
Arlington.
Yes.
Arlington, Virginia. Yes. All right, listeners. How about this one? I forgot about this. It brought back good memories from when I was younger. But what about this question, Ed? What about this? You probably know this one too. What flower is traditionally worn or displayed on Veterans Day or Remembrance Day to honor those who serve? I'll give you a hint. You go to Publix or you go to the grocery store.
Orchid or something?
And there's always somebody passing these out.
Orchid.
No.
I can't.
The red poppy.
Yeah,
they always put that little thing. They put the little red poppy.
I had red. I'm thinking red. It can't be red rose. That wouldn't be right. But yeah.
So the red poppy. I always remember getting that when I was younger. Mom explaining exactly what that represented and everything. So that was really cool. Now this is a tough one. Number 9. How many living U.S. military veterans are there today, approximately? I'll give you multiple choice on this.
All right.
10 million, 18 million, 25 million.
Let's split it. I was always taught it's never the letter D, so we don't have a D.
That's why I skipped D.
Yeah. And if you split them and go with B,
you would be correct. 18 million. But I had two more because I wanted to carry on that one. 18 million are living living U.S. military veterans. How many of them are currently living in Florida?
Probably a lot.
Yeah. It's the 3rd highest in the nation.
I'd say over 2 million.
Yeah, close. 1.4 million is what it says. It says over 1.4 million.
Okay.
But yeah, so we are the 3rd highest in the nation of veterans who live in Florida. And then 2 easy ones. Well, I thought they were easy.
They're easy because you got the answer in front of you.
It was easy for Jake because he was Navy. What famous Florida city is known as the birthplace of naval aviation? I did not know this answer.
I thought you said it was easy.
Well, it would have been easy for Jake if he was here.
I don't know.
Pensacola.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Pensacola is famous for being the birthplace of naval aviation. And last, Tampa Bay is home for the largest military base in Florida. What's the name of the U.S. Central Command?
MacDill.
There we go. That is Veterans Day trivia. I'm sure you all got a lot of the answers correct. If not, I encourage you to research a little bit more and get to know a little bit more about the veterans and why we celebrate the day that we celebrate. And if you have answers to the questions that Ed and I were still perplexed upon, give us a call and let us know. Call us at 441-3000. We are going to take our first break, but when we come back, I'm going to jump in and start talking about, personal injury, workers' comp, and maybe even a little bit Social Security. So if you have questions regarding that, let us know. We'll be back on the other side
I got
of the
a
break.
question.
All right.
I'll ask the attorney.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
After a car accident, there are many questions that you need answers to. Who pays for my car repairs? Who pays for the medical bills? What about my lost wages? And more. The personal injury law firm of Perenich, Caulfield, Avril Noyes has been answering these questions for their clients for nearly 70 years. Since 1955, they've been a voice of the injured in the legal system. As one of the longest established law firms in Tampa Bay, Perenich, Caulfield, Avril Noyes is here to answer your questions. Listen to their live call-in radio show on this channel every Tuesday evening from 5 to 6 p.m. or call them at 727-796-8282 or visit them at voiceoftheinjured.com. Offices Clearwater, non-attorney spokesperson.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
And that was Paul Porter doing our commercial for us. We appreciate that, Paul. Paul has a wonderful radio show on Saturday morning from 9 until 11 called The Home Team, all about sports in Tampa Bay. I know it well because my son Jacob has been a co-host, a guest host with him on several opportunities. And so it's a wonderful opportunity for Jacob to share his knowledge about Florida sports and college sports. But even more importantly, it's just a joy to sit in the same room as Paul Porter, who's the announcer for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and just absorb as much knowledge as we can because that guy really knows his stuff.
Do you know my first job in radio running a board was for Paul's show?
Really?
1998.
Wow.
Yep.
That's very cool.
Yep. So we've landed on a couple other stations in between there, and now we're here. So
yeah. Well, that's very cool. I didn't know that.
1998.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Great show. If anything you wanted to know about the Bucks, anything you want to know about the Lightning, he has wonderful guests on it. So I encourage you to listen to it on Saturdays from 9 until 11. Our firm believes in it so much that we also are a sponsor of that show as well, because we believe he's giving back to the community. And that's really what our firm, Perenich, Caulfield, Avril Noyes, tries to do. And that's give back to the community, whether it's through sponsorships of shows like Paul Porter's and even Kelly, who's on Mondays. We sponsor that show as well because this is a community radio station, and we think it's important to have our locals understand and get the knowledge that they want from different varieties, different people. And so that's just one opportunity to do that. We also proudly represent so many families after they get hurt in car accidents and trip and falls. Most times people don't have a voice in the legal system. And so we feel that it's important that we are the voice of the injured in the legal system. And so we do that with pride, and we understand that there's a lot of responsibility with that as well. And so we want to do our very best we can to help as many people as we can go through the maze of the legal system. And part of that maze is, just understanding what to do. And so I want to jump in with, the first topic, and that's really after a car accident. What do you do in the first 24 hours? I sometimes entitle this, what do you do in the first 10 minutes? Because I think that's as important as well. And accidents are called accidents, and because they didn't happen on purpose, you can't plan for them. And so oftentimes what happens in an accident, you freak out. You don't know. You're in shock. I mean, it doesn't have to be a horrible crash where you flip over and you're bleeding and all that. You're driving to work or driving home or driving your kids to soccer practice, and all of a sudden, bam, you get hit from behind, or somebody runs a red light and hits you, and you're just in shock. You don't know what to do. You don't know what just happened. And so that's why it's important to really have an understanding of what's the important things to do right after a crash. And so really the best thing to do, and the first thing to do, is to make sure you're okay. And if you are okay, the law requires you to move your vehicles outside of the roadway. The reason why that is to make sure that no other crashes occur and nobody else is at risk um, because of the blocking of the roadway. Now, if your cars cannot be moved out of the roadway, you got to leave them there, but get out of the cars and if you can physically, and go to the side of the road. You should call 911 and report the accident. And I'll talk about PIP in just a second, but for an accident, for somebody to be eligible for PIP benefits, the new law says that they need to be listed on the accident report. So therefore, it's important that an accident report is generated. Now, there is a caveat to that. You don't have to have a police come. You can do an exchange of information, and you can do the accident report online. Usually you do that only when there are no serious injuries. But that leads me right to serious injuries. Your adrenaline is flowing. You just got in a crash. You don't know what's going on. You don't know who's going to pick up the kids or who's going to do your chores at work or at home because of this crash, and your adrenaline's flowing. Adrenaline covers up injuries. And so it is very important that you make sure that you don't ignore your injuries, especially in the next 24 hours or during the next 24 hours. Adrenaline's going to slow down, and that's when you're going to really start feeling it if you're going to have an injury from it. Hopefully you don't. But and there are many car accidents that happen and you don't have an injury from it. Those are the fortunate ones. I've been involved in a few where a vehicle pulled out in front of me. I tried to move out of the way. She hit the rear corner panel of my vehicle and caused property damage to my car, but fortunately it didn't cause bodily injury to my body. And so there are times that you can be involved in a crash that you don't have an injury, but don't ignore your body. In the first 10 minutes, in the first 24 hours, don't ignore your body. If you are hurting, you're hurting. Take care of yourself. Another thing you should do within the first 10 minutes is to make sure that you take photographs and get the information that you need to start building that puzzle together, those puzzle pieces. What do you need? You need the other driver's license. Take a photo of it if they'll let you do that. Or just take the driver's license number down. Take a photo of his insurance card. Make sure you get the insurance card. Take photos of the property damage and of the scene. We all have cell phones now, so we can take all kinds of photos. You don't need to just take one or two. Take as many as you can. If there are witnesses, get the names and the addresses and contact information for those witnesses. They could be key into the future. It may sound the at-fault driver may say, "Hey, I'm sorry, it's my fault." He may tell you that at the accident scene, but that does not mean that they're going to tell the insurance company that or a jury that in the future. So that's why witnesses are so important. I'll give you a perfect example. I have a very nice lady who works for the government entity up in Pasco County, and she was going home. She was stopped at a red light outside of her work, stopped until the light turned green. She waited, she proceeded, and bam, she got hit really hard on the driver's side because somebody ran the red light. There were arguments, and there still are arguments. That's why we're in litigation. There are arguments about who caused the crash, who had the red light, who had the green light. And unfortunately, our client was shooken up. It was a bad crash. She was shooken up. And the person behind her took care of her until the ambulance arrived, and then she was taken away. And she thought she never got the name of the person who helped her, although she knew where he worked. Well, through months and months, the other side kept saying, no, she ran the red light. Totally false, because she was stopped for a period of time. You don't stop at a red light and then decide to go when the light's still red. But nonetheless, they continue to try to make that argument, partially because their insured kept saying, "No, I had the green light. She had the red light." Well, through some investigation, and I think Facebook helped a little bit, but also just more investigation, we were able to find the guy who was behind our client and who assisted her after the crash. And sure enough, he was like, no, we were all at the red light. Bam, with the light turned green, we decided to go. And that's when the guy came flying out of the intersection and hit our client. That's the importance of a witness. It's no longer a he said, she said kind of argument. Now we have an independent witness who saw it and was able to, will be able to provide his testimony to a jury if there continues to be dispute about liability in that case. Witnesses are so important. Photos are so important. And reporting it to your insurance company is very important as well. You need to report it to your insurance company. Doesn't mean you have to give a recorded statement, but it does mean you have to report it to your insurance company. Why? Because you need to get a claim number. You need to get a claim number both for the property damage and also for your medical treatment. It's important to get that claim number. And two more things that you should do after a car accident, and that is get checked out. Hopefully you don't need extended medical care, but you need to get checked out to confirm that. Florida law requires you to get checked out within 14 days in order to be eligible for those insurance premiums that you paid for under your car insurance. It's called personal injury protection coverage, or PIP coverage. You need to see a doctor within 14 days of the crash in order to be entitled to those insurance benefits that you have been paying for years and years and years. It doesn't mean you have to go to the emergency room, but a walk-in clinic, a family doctor, a chiropractor, or any medical provider within the 14 days is so important. One thing that I often hear about is, gosh, I missed the 14 days. That means I don't have a claim. That is incorrect. Even if you miss the 14 days of getting medical care, and so you're not entitled to PIP coverage, you still have a claim against the at-fault driver. It is important that you know that, because you need to treat, even if it's on the 15th day and thereafter, and we have to hold the at-fault driver responsible for their actions. Nothing more, but nothing less either. Medical bills, lost wages, future medical bills, future lost wages, pain and suffering, mental anguish, and the other intangible damages that result from a car accident. So don't think that just because you waited 14 days or you didn't treat until the 15th day that you do not have a claim. You do. There are some attorneys that will tell you otherwise, but we understand that some people just try to shake it off, and life gets in the way and they don't treat, and then hopefully it went away, and then 30 days later they realize it didn't go away, and they need to see the doctor, and an MRI shows up. MRI is done. It shows a disc herniation, and that explains why they were having numbness down their arms for the last 30 days. It's so important to get checked out. It's also important, as I said, it's important to talk to the insurance company, but don't give a recorded statement, especially in the first few days, because as I was saying, the adrenaline is flowing. You don't know what your injuries are until the adrenaline slows down and you have an opportunity to appreciate what this crash has really, what impact the crash has really had on you. There's a reason why the insurance companies drive their cars over to their accident scenes or call you within the first few days. It's not because they care. They want you to sign a release so they never have to fully compensate you for any injuries that you may have. Never, ever, ever, never sign anything after a car accident without first talking to an attorney. It doesn't mean you have to retain the attorney, but it is important to get that information. We give free consultations. Talk to an attorney before you sign anything. I'll give you a perfect example. We had a client that didn't do that, came to us and said, gosh, I had this accident 3 days ago. My head is pounding. I have numbness down my arm. My neck is throbbing. I need to see the doctor. And so he did go see his chiropractor who ordered an MRI. who did show disc herniation. And he said, I need representation. We took on the case. We did we sent our letter requesting insurance information, and in response, we got a letter back saying, sorry, Mr. Jones signed a release 4 days after the crash and 2 days before he saw you. And so the case is forever barred, and we will not be offering any money in this case. And sadly, if the injured person knew he was signing a release and signed it anyhow, it's very hard to circumvent that release. Not impossible, but very hard to circumvent that release. That is why it's so important that you do not sign anything without first talking to an attorney. Again, doesn't mean you have to retain them, but you can utilize the free consultation and get that legal advice. Call us on FLA Law on the radio as well, but we can't see that release, and so we would always tell you to call our office. If you're just tuning in, you are listening to FLA Law on the radio. This is a live legal call-in talk show. My name is Matthew Noyes. I am one of the attorneys at the law firm of Perenich, Caulfield, Avril Noyes, the first personal injury law firm here in Tampa Bay. We started in 1955, and 70 years later, we are still going strong, helping as many people as we can, guiding them through the maze that insurance companies put them through after a car accident, trip and fall, work injury. And we also do help people through the maze of Social Security disability as well. So we are here every Tuesday from 5 until 6 o'clock here live to answer questions that you have, whether it's live on the radio here at 727-441-3000 or live on our Facebook page at Perenich, Caulfield, Avril Noyes Injury Lawyers, or we're even live on our YouTube page at Perenich, Caulfield, Avril Noyes Injury Lawyers. So during 5 and 6 on Tuesdays, you can talk to us live. But if you're not able to talk to us, or you want more information, or you want to hear the show again or hear past episodes, we do upload all our shows up to the podcast platforms. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube podcast, and other podcast platforms. So we encourage you to listen to the past shows, listen to our guest on other areas of law. They provide so much valuable information, not just on personal injury, but also on many areas of law regarding bankruptcy law, estate planning, probate, and criminal law. We've even had immigration law attorneys on here. Michelle is a wonderful immigration law attorney, and she's been on our show several times. And so listen to us live on Tuesdays from 5 until 6, or jump on one of the podcast platforms. Find us on FLA Law on the radio and listen to past episodes. But we do have another 11 minutes, so give us a call if you have questions. We're talking about what to do after a car accident, but I do want to also talk about something that I think it's important that we talk about every week, and we've been talking about it because it's happening so often, and that's bicycle accidents, scooters accidents, and even golf cart accidents. Scooter accidents have been, e-bike accidents have been happening so often now in Pinellas County and in Tampa Bay. I think we are the number one area in Florida for the number of accidents, and it may even be fatality accidents with e-bikes. It is so important that we understand the rights, but also the responsibilities of somebody operating an e-bike. I represent a young boy who was on an e-bike, who was on the sidewalk, and as he was crossing over the street, there are some bushes that were hiding his view, or hiding the driver's view who was driving down the road. And unfortunately, just as our client was crossing that street on the sidewalk, the driver hit the e-bike, causing him to fall. He was wearing his helmet, but he still flipped over the hood and broke his jaw and had problems. And so e-bikes are allowed to be on the sidewalk. Bikes, they are a bicycle, so they're allowed to be. Most e-bikes are allowed to be on the sidewalk. It can be dangerous. It can be very dangerous. And if an e-bike causes a crash, there may not be insurance coverage available for your injuries or for property damage, for your lost wages, your medical bills, and any other pain and suffering. And that's why it's so important that we have what's called uninsured motorist coverage. Every single week, I try to use those words. So you faithful listeners know that uninsured motorist was coming. It took 51 minutes to get there, but it's here because it's so important. Uninsured motorist coverage is the only insurance that you pay for that protects you. You can have the most bodily injury liability coverage available, and all that does is protect everybody else besides you for the negligence that you may cause. Uninsured motorist coverage is that insurance that protects you and your family. God forbid you get hurt in a car accident caused by somebody who has no bodily injury liability insurance or doesn't have enough bodily injury liability coverage to properly compensate you for the injuries. Late last week, I met with two very nice people who got involved in a car accident, and unfortunately, it was a 5-car, maybe even 7-car accident. The at-fault driver was clearly at fault and started a chain reaction. Unfortunately, the at-fault driver only carried $10,000 worth of bodily injury liability coverage, and that's $10,000 per person, $20,000 per accident. There were 6 or 7 people involved in that crash. So 6 or 7 people have to try to split up that $20,000, which clearly does not compensate anybody for the injuries that they had. And that's why uninsured motorist coverage is so important, because your uninsured motorist coverage would protect you and those who are injured in your family. God forbid you get hurt in a crash caused by someone who does not have bodily injury liability coverage. Which reminds me that people say, well, gosh, if they don't have bodily injury liability coverage, they must be violating the law. Absolutely wrong. Under the state of Florida, in 99% of the cases, a vehicle owner is not required to carry bodily injury liability coverage. They are required to carry PIP, personal injury protection, and property damage, but they are not required to carry bodily injury liability coverage. Again, that's why uninsured motorist coverage is so important to have. Without uninsured motorist coverage, if you get hurt in a car accident from somebody who does not have bodily injury coverage, the chances of being compensated, getting your medical bills paid, getting your lost wages reimbursed, and any pain and suffering are slim. I had a conversation with a client who said, gosh, the at-fault driver didn't have enough insurance coverage. Can I bring a lawsuit against him? And I think I started the show this way too. Certainly, you can bring a lawsuit against the at-fault driver who didn't have bodily injury liability insurance or not enough bodily injury liability insurance. You're certainly allowed to bring a lawsuit against them. You would file the lawsuit. You would pay the filing fee. You would do you would pay the cost to take the case ultimately to a jury trial. The jury would likely award significant monies for your injuries as long as you can prove them. And then you have a piece of paper called a verdict that ultimately turns into a judgment. And if the at-fault against the at-fault driver, if the at-fault driver had $10,000 worth of coverage, the insurance company would pay their $10,000, and then you would have to chase the at-fault driver for anything above his insurance coverage. That's after you spent about $6,000 to $7,000 trying to get that judgment saying that you're entitled to that money. Typically, if somebody does not have adequate bodily injury liability coverage, that means they don't have the assets to pay on that judgment that you spent $6,000 or $7,000 to get. How do you avoid all that? Uninsured motorist coverage. Get it. Check your policy now. Too many people come to us later and say, oh, I heard you on the radio. I heard you tell my friends that I needed uninsured motorist coverage. I was going to get it, but I didn't get it. But now I'm involved in the crash. Too late. Check your policy now. Get it now. If you want us to review your policy, come by our office at 1875 North Belcher Road, right on the corner of Belcher and Sunset Point. Bring your policy. We'll be happy to have someone take a look at it to help educate you on what coverage you are carrying. Do it now before the crash. That's so important to have. I also want to talk about the golf carts because I said I was going to. Golf carts, you see them all over Dunedin, downtown Dunedin. You see them in other areas as well. Golf carts can be insured. In fact, if they're on the road, they're required to carry the bodily injury and property damage coverage. And they can also get property damage and PIP, and they can also purchase bodily injury liability coverage. We've had accidents, golf cart accidents, or where people get hurt, whether they're a passenger in the golf cart or golf cart hits them. There is a claim against the golf cart owner. That's why it's important to really see what type of golf cart it was in order to see if that was the type that needed to be covered on an insurance policy, and then you check to see whether or not there is bodily injury liability coverage. So important, but don't do it alone. That's why attorneys such as us, Perenich, Caulfield, Avril Noyes, are here. We're here to guide you. We're here to help you answer the questions that you have after a bicycle accident, after a car accident, after a golf cart accident, water jet ski accidents or boating accident. Accidents happen. People get hurt in so many ways. It's so important that you talk to a lawyer so you understand what your rights are and what your responsibilities are as well. And if the way to get in touch with us is we're not calling us from 5 until 6 on FLA Law on the radio is by reaching out to us at our office. Again, it's Perenich, Caulfield, Avril, and Noyes. We're right. Our main office is right on Belcher and Sunset Point here in Clearwater, but we have offices throughout Tampa Bay. You can call us at 727-796-8282, or you can visit us at usalaw.com. We are here to help you through the maze. Utilize it. Take advantage of our 70 years worth of experience. I'm Matthew Noyes. Thank you very much for listening to FLA Law on the radio. I'll be back next week, but in the meantime, drive safely and watch out for those who don't. Take care.